Hi everyone, this is your happiness coach and psychologist Sakshi Mandyan, and today we are here again with the learnings from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And today we'll be talking about a very important and relevant topic in our day-to-day lives, which is manage yourself first and then others. We have always spoken about this particular line in self-management topics, and so I was wondering if there's something in Srimad Bhagavad Gita about managing ourselves first and then others. And so today I am here with my father, Mr. S.P. Singh, and we'll be discussing a lot about the same topic, and let's see what he has to talk about. So, Papa, when we talk about managing ourselves and then others, do you think Gita has something about this particular topic?
Yeah, Sakshi. If you go through these 18 chapters of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and these 700 shlokas that are there, you'll find that self-improvement and self-development, they probably are the core themes of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And maybe the best manual for or an instruction book for people to seek self-improvement and self-development. When we go through all these chapters, and anyone who goes through all these chapters will find that one after the other, Lord Krishna is talking about attributes that an ideal person should have. And if I could count a few of them, you see, in various chapters, let me remember, so the various attributes that an ideal person should have, and we are talking about managing ourselves. When we say managing ourselves, we are actually talking about recasting ourselves, refabricating ourselves, improving ourselves, and making us likable and someone masses would like to follow. So for those attributes to be there, a few that come to my mind, which are ideally achievable by such a person, are stop worrying. So don't unnecessarily hassle yourself. Everything that happens is been willed by some power. You are supposed to be only executing your duties. Don't be fearful. Okay, so when you are focused on your job, don't unnecessarily think what all could happen and it could cause any damage to me. Remain calm and composed. So when I say calm and composed, actually there are two things to be kept in mind. One is there is a difference between being detached and being indifferent. So as we have discussed so many times, Gita says that you have to be always working in action and doing things with a lot of enthusiasm. So detachment means don't worry about the results but remain focused, whereas indifference means neglecting things and all that. And the next is avoid anger. So anger helps no one. And as Lord Buddha famously said, anger is like holding a hot coal in your hand and throwing it to somebody. So whether it hits the other person or not is different, but by then you have injured yourself. So Krodh helps nobody, anger helps nobody. Similarly, do something for the society, give back to the society. This is another learning that we get. Then again, the most famous learning is karmanya vadika raste mafaleshu kadachana. So keep on doing your job unmindful of the results, and good results always follow good deeds. And don't get into the trap of some allurements. So at times something appears very very prominent to us, and we get tempted to compromise our values and go for that. And the most important thing that in my view this generation should be very conscious of is, and which Bhagavad Gita says, that change is inevitable. And take every change in circumstances, in your career, in your life, in your family, as it comes in your stride, as if willed by the Almighty. You remain steadfast, and you should be focused. So these are few attributes which I believe the whole reading of Gita would impart to us. And they don't come that fast. You have to work hard, practice, and then only these attributes are achievable.
Wow. So we need to practice like every day.
Yeah, yeah.
So Papa, like while you're talking about these attributes and they sound like really good, and I think when I was listening to it, I'll say that one should strive to have all these attributes in oneself. But in practical life, day-to-day life, it's really difficult to develop these skills in ourselves. So how does one build these skills?
There is one stumbling block in this, and thank God there is only one, but it is mighty.
Okay.
And it is our mind. It is our mind which is fickle, which is very difficult to restrain. As we say in Hindi, man to chanchal hai. So it would go from one place to the other and not let us focus on important things. But it only goes with practice. And I'm reminded of a small story of Guru Nanak's. And while he was, he conducted many udasis, which was going from one place to the other to spread his message. So one day he came across a very rich man who had a horse, and that horse was suffering from some ailment. So he came to Guruji and said that I and my servants, we have been trying to admit some medicine to him, but the horse doesn't take it. But we would put a lot of force, but he would not take it. And Guruji said, try again. So they again try. Some more servants also come, and after a lot of efforts, the horse gets tired. And since the medicine is very pungent, and the horse also has that sense, but then when he gets tired, he reluctantly takes that medicine. So Guru Nanak in a smiling way says, our mind is like this horse. So we need to control it. We need to all that is possible, and we don't have to lose patience while we are trying to mend our mind. Now in this practice of mending our mind or improving our mind, there are two very important aspects. One is consistency, and the other is devotion. So when I say consistency, it means this practice has to be regular. It has to be done consistently, unmindful of the results. Someday the results would come. When I say devotion, it doesn't have that religious connotation. It is about the feeling of sacredness attached to doing something, come what may. So if you do it consistently and with devotion, you would certainly get good results. Now in Gita, when you go to chapter 6, so in shloks 33 to 36, you find Lord Krishna saying that these, controlling mind is very difficult, and only the consistent and resolute people can achieve this, but it is achievable. And he gives the recipe also as to how this can be achieved. So in chapter 6, if you go there, you will find that there is a complete prescription in terms of identification of mind not being in control, and how it impacts our activities, and how one could control mind. Yeah.
Brilliant. And I think we all, really struggle with controlling and managing our mind. And in my practice also, I've heard from a lot of you this query that how do we control and manage our mind. So, Papa, can you give us a few examples of how to control the mind? And
the whole humanity has been trying to control mind, and the best practitioners have been people that we remember with a great amount of reverence and all that. In our Guru Granth Sahib, which is a very sacred text of Sikhism, there is a part called Japji Sahib, which is the first part of Guru Granth Sahib, which is a morning part. And in Guru Granth Sahib, in Japji Sahib's 28th Paudi means stanza. So in the 28th stanza, there is a line which says, Man jeete jag jeet. So, which implies that if you have conquered your mind, you can conquer the world. Now, conquering the world doesn't mean conquering it as if like an emperor. Conquering means being able to negotiate with the challenges put forth by the world if you have your mind in control. Now, similarly, since I come from Rajasthan, there was this most famous Jain saint, Acharya Tulsi, who was born in Rajasthan, and he died also in a place near Bikaner. He was a very renowned Jain saint. He came out with that Vriti Andolan and all that, which is a path for righteousness and all. But the thing he is most remembered for is a very small slogan that I saw as a very young student, as a child, which said, and it was written on walls of many districts in Rajasthan, Nij par shasan, fir anushasan, which says you must rule yourself first. When you say rule, you should be able to control yourself, then talk about managing or commanding or dictating others. So it was something which is still very much alive with me as it was, say, about 40-45 years back. Another example that comes to my mind is, which is a recent text that I read, is about, you must have heard about this Radha Swami Satsang, Dayalbagh, Agra. So it's a brilliant platform which gives people, I think, tremendous scope for improvement. So one of their gurus, ex-gurus, who's known as Hazur Mehtaji Sahib, I read one of his messages where he clearly says the same thing, which is, the same which Acharya Tulsi said, Nij par shasan, fir anushasan. But Hazur Mehtaji Sahib goes further and he talks about avoiding wastage, which can be another attribute that we can learn. Avoiding wastage means don't waste food, don't waste clothes, don't waste money, don't waste time, certainly, but more than anything else, don't waste thoughts. So when he says don't waste thoughts, what learning we get is that there should be no space for, any thought which takes us away from our destination. This also comes with practice. Such thoughts would keep coming, and we'll have to then put them aside, or get ourselves away from it. And from this comes, where I'll conclude now, from what Hazur Mehtaji Sahib said, comes a well-established, principle in the Hindu mythology or Sanatan, Dharma, which is Chit, Vriti, Nirodh. Chit, Vriti, Nirodh. Chit means man, Vriti means tendency or attitude. Nirodh means stopping it, not letting it develop. Now, Chit, Vritti, Nirodh says that if we are steadfast, so the bad thoughts or the evil thoughts or the delusions like ignorance, lethargy, indifference, or the vices like Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar, Matsarya, which is the name of jealousy, they won't be able to cloud our superconsciousness, which is our intellect. So Chit Vritti Nirodh is a practice which in our Bhagavad Gita, it is very clearly mentioned in chapter 14. If you go to chapter 14, you will find steps for this Chit Vritti Nirodh. So if you have taken control of all these thoughts or feelings, or something which comes and tempers with our steadfastness in approaching or going for our destination, a very strong regimen of Chit Vritti Nirodh can stop them from occurring. Whenever they stop, we'll remove them. And it is difficult in the beginning, but as we grow as a practitioner of this wonderful art, we would be able to ward them off much, much faster. So this is how, in the total discussion, what I've been able to convey to you is that once we have tried in the most earnest way to develop all those attributes that Srimad Bhagavad Gita tells us, and also understood all the teachings of Guru Granth Sahib, Acharya Tulsi, Hazur Mehtaji Maharaj and others, I think we would have enough to appreciate that in a steadfast way, we have to first make ourselves, somebody people would be keen to, relate to and get led by. And the moment you have this, as we have discussed on some other occasions also, the moment you have all these attributes, your teams would acquire nearly 70 to 80% of them without going through this grind. It is so infectious. So the moment a leader has all these attributes, the team would have enough of it without going through the grind, and over the period they would be almost coming at par. So imagine everybody being righteous, having gone through this training. Imagine how well our offices, our houses, our businesses, our farmlands, etc. would be managed.
Absolutely, and I think while I was listening to you, there are a few key takeaways that remain with me right now, especially when you spoke about consistency and devotion. Consistency and devotion is incredible. Like whenever you're doing something, there should be, of course, I talk about consistency with the in the sessions that I take, but devotion is something which is so beautiful.
Absolutely.
When you have devotion to your task, it's incredible. And then don't waste your thoughts. Like we always talk about it, don't waste your thought is something that I think is going to
If I
remain
could
with
add
me.
a small thing, like we have our mobiles and our laptops with some, capacity to house, data.
Yeah.
Similarly, our mind also has some capacity to house, thoughts or impressions. Don't permit anything bad to ever enter there, because that would be at the cost of some beautiful thoughts, some beautiful ideas.
I totally agree. So I think it was a wonderful interaction, Papa, and I
Brilliant.
think I have taken a lot today, especially that coal analogy, the burning coal analogy
Yeah.
from Lord Buddha. That was incredible. The horse analogy. I think these analogies and these small stories that you talk
They
about
all have huge purpose.
I learn so much from them, and then I apply them in my day-to-day life as well. So I
This
think
is how we grow.
Yeah.
This is how we grow, and we'll keep growing with such beautiful sessions as we move forward. I'm very sure everybody benefits from them. Let's continue this brilliant journey.
Absolutely. So, in one line, Nij par shashan, fir
Anushas.
Anushasan.
Yeah, Anushasana means discipline.
Absolutely.
Nij par shasan, fir Anushasana.
Absolutely. That's how
Please
we manage
take care.
ourselves.
Please
Thank
take
you.
care.
Thank you, Papa.
Hare Krishna.